today I'm briefly going to discuss about psoriasis. I'm very sure all of you have heard about it. This is a very common skin disorder. Firstly, before discussing a broad topic, I want all of you to know about the clinical features. And specifically, I want to rule out that what are the layers of the skin so that it becomes easier to understand the pathophysiology. Basically, in short, obviously, for the undergraduates, there are four layers of the skin. Epidermis has four layers. Epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous tissue. Specifically, if you want to say, in epidermis, the primary layer, which is the first barrier layer of the skin, is the stratum corneum. Then comes the stratum granulosum, followed by stratum spinosum, and then the last layer, which is the stratum basale. In specific areas such as the palms and soles, they contain an extra pad of layer in the epidermis itself, which is called the stratum lucidum, which protects as well as provides a thick layering. So now why did I take up this topic? Because psoriasis specifically is dealing with all of these layers. There are some of the diseases which are only affecting the stratum corneum, the stratum spinosum, the basale. But psoriasis is such a epidermal keratinocyte proliferative disorder that it is affecting all these four layers. That's why an autoimmune condition which leads to chronicity. In one sentence, if you want to say, then we can briefly describe it as a chronic autoimmune condition of the skin. What happens here is there is immune stimulation of the T cells, which leads to epidermal keratinocyte hyperproliferation. Now, what is hyperproliferation? Over here, the epidermal turnover time. See, in many cases now, in normal day-to-day life, you will see that there is peeling of your hands, skin. Peeling of your skin of both your palms, of your soles. There will be a lot of peeling. Why this peeling occurs? Because that is the epidermal turnover time. In normal people, this occurs within 28 to 40 days. But in psoriasis, this thickness turnover time increases rapidly. There is a layer of dead cells. These dead cells, they try to accumulate. They form a thick, silvery, micaceous, scaly lesion, which is very well presenting as a plaque. Plaque, or you can also say patches. The term not just psoriasis, you may be hearing chronic plaque psoriasis. Chronic because of its tenure, plaque because of the hyperproliferative dead cell skins. Now what is happening over here? Why this is happening? Why suddenly there is so much of proliferation? Because there is the immune degeneration. Now you have definitely studied in microbiology and pathology hyperproliferation, acanthosis. Now in acanthosis what happens? There are thick deposits. Thick deposits of what? Keratinocytes. Keratinocytes is also known as skin cells. All of them, they rapidly degrade from basally to stratum spinosum to granulosum and then the corneum, and then they shed off. In normal human, they shed off and there is no symptoms. But as psoriasis gradually develops, these scales become permanent lesions. In an OPD, the patient will come and say, I am always having these types of lesions. Where we will check these lesions? Over the joint areas, which are most common. The elbow, knees, our sole of the foot. Sometimes it can also present over the scalp region. Patients will be presenting with, ma'am, I am having dandruff. Ma'am, there is excessive hair fall. Once you examine the scalp, there will be flakes, dry, itchy flakes. What are these flakes? These are nothing but dead cells. Now, dead cells is very common. We will be proliferating. But there comes the role of our immune system. Nowadays, we always prescribe people, don't take packaged food, don't take too much of beverages. Why? Because all of these are also leading to immune degeneration. We hardly follow these, but still. Why should we follow? Because the T cells, the HLA complex, HLA B13, 22, 27, CW6, they all lead to these genetic disorders. Now, primarily, you can also, the first line is whether psoriasis is contagious or not. छुआछे, छूत का बीमारी है? People come and ask, ma'am, will our children have this? Like, why do we suffer from this? No, it is not contagious. Something's funny going on over there, I can understand. Still, just hear me out for a few minutes. Another thing is that why it is not contagious, why it is roaming around within our body only. One affected area will also lead to another affected area. The joints, scalp. In fact, many people also present with nail psoriasis. Nail psoriasis has typical few findings: salmon patch, oil drop sign, excessive ridging, longitudinal ridging, pitting. Very common MCQs are name some diseases with nail pitting. The first three diseases you have to remember, at least in the Viva they will definitely ask you. Nail pitting is seen in psoriasis, in atopic dermatitis and lichen planus. We'll be discussing about lichen planus and atopic dermatitis later on also. So now we come to the types of psoriasis. First commonly, which I am telling from the first speech of mine, is chronic plaque psoriasis. Then comes inverse psoriasis. Inverse psoriasis, unlike the chronic plaque variety, presents on the infolds of the skin, inframammary region, axilla, groin. Very commonly, many doctors fail to describe it and they tend for treat it for fungal infections, candidiasis. But no, when you will closely examine, then we will see that these are red moist areas with excessive itching and not responding to any kind of antifungal agents. Another very common type is pustular psoriasis. Now, what is pustular psoriasis? How we will differentiate? These are inflamed skin with multiple tiny red dots which actually become bumps of pus. These are aggravated after any kind of chronic medications, polypharmacy. If a person is taking too much of antihypertensives, ACE inhibitors as well as ARBs. If a person is on lithium, antipsychotic medications, chloroquine for malaria, or hydroxychloroquine for any other autoimmune diseases. Another common type is gutted psoriasis. Now, what is gutted psoriasis? Gutted psoriasis will be presenting first in the pediatric department. The patient's mother will be saying viral infection is the triggering cause. Upper respiratory tract infection, group B beta hemolytic streptococcus, very common, leads to this red small papules ultimately forming plaques. So these four types are the major ones: chronic plaque psoriasis, gutted psoriasis, pustular psoriasis and inverse psoriasis. Now, according to the morphology, these are the four types. But if you consider specific locations, there are many very common nowadays that if a person is having psoriasis for the past 5 to 10 years, approximate range, he or she will be definitely presenting with psoriatic arthritis affecting the joints. I don't want to go into psoriatic arthritis now, it will take another hour. But at least specific locations you must remember, that is nail psoriasis and scalp psoriasis. In scalp psoriasis, the first differential diagnosis will be seborrheic dermatitis, also seborrheic capitis. Seborrhea, the common term is dandruff. Whenever a person is having chronicity, for around the year, I am suffering from seborrhea, I am suffering from dandruff, I am having an oily scalp, a Doctor must, it is a must for any doctor to definitely check with a trichoscope whether there is any kind of flakes present or not. Only ketoconazole shampoo or cyclopyrox shampoo will not be the line of treatment. Scalp psoriasis is a very chronic form and always misleading. So there goes the types. Now, when a patient is coming, what is the first thing we should do? We should explain him or her that it will never be fine with you, you will die with this disease. Will we say? We have to explain that this is a controllable problem, controllable disease, not a curable disease. So once you get it, you have it till you're doomed. But there is always a proper way of explaining. Firstly, on what basis you are saying? How can you prove it? Just the clinical features? Just by your medical supervision? No, we also have to do a skin examination, a skin histopathological examination. We have to take a bunch biopsy of any lesion, any chronic lesion, and then we have to histopathologically give it a proper evidential report. Okay. Secondly, when a patient is coming with psoriasis, we will definitely ask for the family history. Now, why so? Why family history? Is it genetic? Yes, definitely it is genetic. PSOR complex 1, PSOR, gene which is present on the chromosome 6p21. This is a very common factor which leads to a genetic background. Grandfather having, grandmother having, no. If one member of a family, grandfather, the father may or may not have, but the grandchildren also has a scope. So the HLA genes, CW6, B15, B11, B17, interleukins. Interleukins also play a major role in the genetic predisposition. Interleukin 12, 23 and 17. Very important for the treatment management also. So all these genetic factors lead to a positive family history. Another is any kind of infection for the past 6 months. First, upper respiratory tract infection. Second, any kind of viral exanthem. The patient will be saying, I am suffering from cold, normal rhinovirus. Will that be a predisposing factor? No. Then everybody can have. If there is specific throat infection or any kind of mouth ulcers, any kind of group B streptococcal infection will be leading to psoriasis. Secondly, there are two bimodal distributions, peak ages. One is between 10 to 18 years and one is the late age, the senior citizens, above 55, above 60 years. Why so? Whole life they didn't have this. Why at the end of the age? Because of polypharmacy. Nowadays, if you will be attending the clinics, you will be seeing in the medicine department, a patient is having diabetes, hypothyroid or hypertension, uric acid, the chronic problems, depression, anxiety. So a physician will be giving more than 3-4 drugs. The main causative ones we should always follow whenever you are sitting in a specialty department, whether the patient is having type 2 diabetes or not, hypertension or not. So they are taking ARBs, beta blockers, chloroquine, lithium, uric acid. For uric acid they will be taking febuxat. All these have interactions. Now what interaction? Then nothing will be given. But we should always remember that any good effect will have side effects. So what are the side effects? There is immune degeneration. To uplift one disease, to get rid of one disease, the other immune cells get compromised. And the first ones to get compromised are the cytokines, the T cells, the interleukins. It is not always possible to do gene mapping in every patient. It is a costly examination. So always the history taking is very important in any patient coming to the OPD. So this is the pathophysiology and the clinical features. Now how does the patient present? I am saying so many things, but what is the presentation of the patient? Coming to the OPD, will he or she complain of itching? No. Irritation. I am having so much of skin lesions, not getting rid, applying so many oils, so many emollients, moisturizers. Why I am still having this dry skin? The first complaint will be dryness, flaky skin, red patches of silvery micaceous scales, proper silver micaceous scales. On examination, the first thing we will do is Auspitz sign ruling out. Gratach test. Anybody has heard about Gratach test and Auspitz sign? Okay. So what we do is, on a proper lesion presenting over the joint area, suppose the elbows or the extensor aspects, the forearm or the arm, there is a annular well circumscribed plaque with silvery micaceous scales. So what we do is, we take a glass slide and we scrape the lesion, scraping. We scrape until all the flakes fall out, as if thin, dry, flaky dandruff is coming from the skin. We take it out. Then we see that while taking it off, there is a very light pink or reddish color layer has appeared. This is called the bulkily membrane. We keep scraping it, and finally we see that there is presence of multiple tiny red dots, capillary leakage. It will not start bleeding, but there will be pinpoint bleeding points. That is the end point of Auspitz sign. That is when we confirm that this is not normal dryness. See, when you will be having dry skin, you keep scraping your dry skin, you will not have any bleeding. Until and unless you abrade or do an excoriation, then it starts bleeding. But a psoriatic skin will not bleed until and unless you start removing the scales. The test which I just now told, Auspitz sign, and the whole procedure is known as Gratach test. Okay, so on your examination sheets, these few bullet points should be mentioned. Secondly, now the main, how we treat it. We have understood the pathophysiology, the clinical features, examinations. Now how do we treat it? There comes the big question mark. Whom to treat, why to treat? We broadly divided into mild, moderate and severe ranges according to the PASI score. Now what is a PASI score? Is it possible to, every time patient is coming, you will calculate the PASI score? If necessary, yes, we have to calculate. It is the psoriasis area severity index. Any part of our body can be affected with psoriasis. In fact, severe blepharitis, eye infection, eyelid infection also leads to psoriasis. So the areas and the severity all should be noted. Even the genital areas, the groins, they are also affected, inverse psoriasis. In fact, the shaft of the penis, severe rubbing, sweating also leads to psoriasis. So never neglect it, and never just blindly give a emollient or any fungal infection related agent. First rule out, first make yourself convinced what it is. If still not, go for a histopathology examination and then prescribe. So the management part comes first with the history taking. Secondly, we have to go for general measures. Now what are the general measures? Sun exposure, is it safe or not? Yes. Now on the recent guidelines, it is considered to be safe. But previously, when phototherapy was not yet discovered, sunburn was also known as a causative factor. So what do we do first? The topical treatment, the general measures. We ask the patient every day go for a 5 to 10 minutes sun walk. Vitamin D analogs, that's why it is important. Then we ask the patient to stay hydrated internally and externally. 3 to 4 liters of water intake as well as any kind of emollient, moisturizers, oils to be applied. This is the first line. Secondly, what all we give, just coconut oil and moisturizers won't do any benefit that anybody and anyone can give. So what do we do next? We give some form of low dose, mild corticosteroids to reduce the inflammation. Also vitamin D3 analogs, calcipotriol. Then we give calcineurin inhibitors, PDE4 inhibitors, roflumilast, tapinarof. Tapinarof is an aryl hydrocarbon receptor agonist. These are the new line of managements. You can also reduce all of this, all of the functional symptoms by just topical treatments. Second line is phototherapy. Once our derma department is totally shifted to the OPD building, all of you can come and see, we have 2 FIN chambers, phototherapy unit chambers. I will be explaining you very soon, all of them. What we do is, there is 2 types of phototherapy. Now, therapy, why I am taking this term? This is the natural sunlight or the natural light which is converted to a specific beam of wavelength and given to the skin. What does it do? It leads to skin rejuvenation. Now, rejuvenation can be done for beauty purpose also. Why do we give it to an infected area? Why so? Because this will also lead to immune regeneration, immune stimulation. Whatever inflammatory cascade is going wrong, all will be protected. So anybody can go to the sunlight and not have psoriasis. Is that so? No. The proper wavelength. In narrowband phototherapy, we give 310 to 320 nanometer wavelength. The starting dose is 0.5 joules. We can extend it up to 3.5 joules. And the results are marvelous. We don't have to go for any oral medications. But yes, when the PASI score is high, when the patient is coming with severe psoriasis, steroid dependent psoriasis, some maybe rural practitioners have given oral corticosteroid to a patient, mistaking it to be eczema or urticaria, has given any kind of oral corticosteroid, then there will be rebound phenomena. There will be triggering of all the factors and the patient will be presenting with severe form of psoriasis, which is also known as erythrodermic psoriasis. More than 90% of the body surface area will be affected. Severe scales, fissures, lichenification, red patches, the patient will be highly fatigued, ill. There will be systemic symptoms also. Cardiac output will be high, pulse rate high, there will be shortness of breath. We have to immediately admit these kind of patients. We have to provide internal hydration also. So there comes the role of methotrexate, cyclosporin, JAK inhibitors, apremilast. These are all systemic diseases. So from day 1 till his or her last breath taking day, a person should always be under medication, whether low or high. It is just controllable and never curable. Okay, so I think I have given you a brief idea about this very common disease, very commonly presenting to our OPD. Hope all of you will at least diagnose it by few 3 or 4 questioning. That's it for today.